Newbie, congratulations, bro,
Good
man.
job, bro.
You are the Hunt World Heavyweight Champion for the first time. Yeah.
It took an army.
he's still not talking. You can talk now.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday. I put that intro in there. Why? Because our main man, Mr. Hyper Combo Comics, is going for a three-peat for his championship belt this Friday. So tune in for that. Fun show for you guys. Round 3, NCAA style, Grail versus Grail. But let's be real. We're not here for Grail versus Grail. We're here for a special guest we got on the show today. I'm going to bring in my people first, and then we will bring in our special guest. So first up, you guys know him as Mr. FaceTime. I know him as the myth, the man, the legend. Let's bring him in. FaceTime, what's going on, man?
What's going on, bro?
Ready for today, man? Fun show?
For sure.
Hyper
is Hyper ready?
Hyper's fashionably late, so we'll see where that goes. But, yeah, you know how it is, man. Good things come to those who wait, I guess. So
yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll see. All right, guys. So before we continue, I don't want to leave my guest in the shadows because he is one of the great guys in the community. We started at the same time. I remember messaging him about how to use StreamYard. So if it wasn't for this guy, I probably wouldn't even be on StreamYard. Let's bring him in. 1/3 of the Pressable Defects, Mr. Matt Forge.
What's up, guys? Newbie, FaceTime. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I know this is a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad we made it happen. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when we first started chatting about StreamYard. I was just kind of getting used to it myself. I remember the conversation, and I'm glad we meet again, both more successful.
yeah, dude. I remember messaging you being like, hey, man, they're saying they're going to take over my account. Is that cool?
I remember that. I'm like, dude, you're good, bro. Just do it.
Yeah, and you were like, no, just go ahead. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And I remember that day after, I was like, oh man, YouTube better not take over like Newbie Comics. But yeah, man, we have a lot of fun. I mean, we rep you guys as much as we can. We enjoy what you guys are doing. You guys are
appreciate
good
that
in the community. So I mean, I think Butcher told me that when the borders open up, he's got a place for me when I come to New York. So
yeah, man, definitely. We'll definitely do something. Butcher's on the world tour. When things go back to normal, he's told every single person that lives in every single section of this world that we're going to go visit. So apparently we're going on, I don't know if we're getting a bus or, but yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to meet a lot of you guys once we do get the opportunity to. So.
It's crazy though, right? Because we're going into almost a year and a half now where everything's just shut and everything, like I hear so many people being like, hey man, when this opens up, are you going to come? And I'm like, your state might have opened, but like our borders are closed, man. Like, I can't get out. Like we're on lockdown here again. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So we all know the rules. We got an NCAA style for you guys. This is round 3. We will go over the previous winners. That way you guys don't think like, hey man, what about this? Isn't this a Grail? So yeah, we're going to have fun conversations with it. We take a vote. And then that book goes on to the next round. Excuse me. So, yeah, before we get started, though, I do have some friends that I need to talk about because I missed them last show. We had some technical difficulties. But we got Big B Comics, 3 stores. You guys know I rep the one in Niagara. Go check out their Instagram and Facebook pages. Also, their eBay. I know Hyper just did some shopping on there. Got it. Literally, the shipping was like 2-3 days. It was insane.
Speaking of, it looks like he finally showed up in chat.
Oh, is he in chat?
Yeah, he's in there now.
Yeah, I see him. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see if he joins. Next up, we got Bleecker Street Comics. The dude's got 3,000 comics on his website. Presses, cleans, $10 a press. He took care of my Thor 165. He takes care of most of my stuff. So big shout outs to him. Go check out his website. Again, with the lockdown, he hasn't been able to sell books. So make sure you guys go check out his website. He's got a ton of stuff. And if you guys need a logo, intro, whatever the case may be, go check out Shape State Creative. Tell Derek that Newbie sent you. He'll hook you up. And finally, our friends here in Canada. Matt, I know you guys know these guys.
Yeah, man.
Mutant Fever. So you guys can use newbie 10 or you guys can use Pressable Defects code, but you guys get 10% off. I don't think you can use both of them if you wanted 20% off. Wherever you are,
that way.
Yeah, they do a hell of a job. They'll ship wherever. So make sure you guys go tune into them. They're great people. So yeah, Mutant Beaver. Whew. All right. Let's do a quick road call and then let's get on to the show. Dan, what's going on? Dan's going to be with us next Tuesday. Experienced collector. He knows a lot of stuff. Renos, what's going on, man? Leaker. Miguel. Hyper. Hey, guys. Currently power outage in my area, so hanging in for chat now. Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll see.
Sounds like he's late.
Come on, Hyper. I mean, I come on and you just bail on me, bro.
RP, what's going on? Empire, less than 1 minute ago. Ultra, what's going on? You guys already know Ultra, what he does. He's got the Ultra Mix coming tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune in for that. Chimo, I got a Grail incoming. Ooh, interested in what that is. Okay. What Spider likes. Comic Forge, Guy, what's going on? Astro World, Pressable Defects is in the house. Yeah, there's a ton of you guys, so thank you. We'll get through everybody. Copies in here. Chef, I know Michelle's in here. So yeah, there's a lot of people in here. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Evan, Philly born. So yeah, as you guys come in, I'll give you guys some love. And you guys already know. If you guys don't know Pressable Defects, if you guys don't know who Matt is, please make sure you guys go check out Pressable Defects. They got, Tuesdays and Thursdays, they do their thing. They're also on with Very Gary. They do some reviews of the shows this week. I think you guys went on Sunday this week, right? You guys didn't do your Saturday? They had to
do Sunday. There was some conflict. So Sunday, but next week back to Saturday for the finale. And then I think for Loki, we're actually going to be on Gem Mint's channel, all of us. So it could be a big crowd.
it's crazy because I keep reminding people like, hey, like this Friday, that's it. We get Black Widow, and then we basically have like a month of nothing. And as you are a speculator just like me, I mean, it's going to be a tough 4 or 5 weeks because there's literally, you know how it works, right? If it's not in front of your face, you can't spec on it. You don't really. Sure. It's going to be a little tough.
This is where you make the money, though. This is the time where you got to grind it out. So.
It's true. Real quickly before we get started, can I get your prediction on a character we might see in the finale?
Oof. I've been getting asked this question like 100 times this week. Honestly, I don't think we get anyone. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the power broker is just going to be some random actor or actress that we haven't seen before. I don't think it's going to be Sharon Carter. Yeah, and listen, I could be completely wrong, right? It doesn't fit. Like the evidence that they're showing doesn't fit for that.
Yeah.
I heard people say Sharon Carter is Mystique. Sharon Carter's a Skrull. Maybe, right?
I heard that too.
I think we're going to get obviously Sam as Falcon. I mean, Sam as Cap and Torres as Falcon. I think that'll be and then maybe the Thunderbolts, right? Maybe we get Ross. Maybe get General Ross. They start the Thunderbolts. Foreshadowing for that. I think that's what you're going to get.
I could honestly, man, and like I told you, right, how we do things here, we don't, you don't have to agree, have your own opinion, but I literally agree with you 100%. I think we're not really going to get anybody. I think the big one was Contessa Allegra. I think Sam becomes, Cap, and then Torres, because people forget, Sam left the old wings with Torres. He said, keep them. Yeah. So that to me was just one of those like, okay, there we go. Like Joaquin Torres is going to be Falcon. And I think that's who shows up to come help him and Bucky in the end. And that's it, man. Like people are like, oh, Red Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, why would they do that? Makes no sense.
No Mephisto. You're calling your shot. No Mephisto.
No Mephisto.
Nah.
No.
My prediction was Red Wing was Mephisto, but now Red Wing's gone. So.
Yeah, right. That was the point too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. But again, I mean, I've been wrong before, Matt. I'm sure you have been wrong before.
Of course. Listen, it's fun, right? We have fun with it. It's
exactly. So Do I wish that more characters show up and it's a good show? Yeah, absolutely. But it's already been a good show, and they got a plan. So in Kevin we trust. That's kind of how we got to do things, right? So
exactly. I think you're gonna get something when you least expect it, right? Yeah. And the good thing, like you said, being right and wrong. So when I'm just talking out loud about like, oh, it would be cool for this character to come up or this one to show up or my speculation for that, that's not the same kind of I use a lot more caution when buying, right? Like when we're just chatting, it's fun to just throw ideas out. But when you're actually speculating and buying, if you started buying everything, it could be this, it could be that, you're going to go broke. So talking and the actual purchases are way different for me. I'm sure it's the same for you guys too.
Yeah,
right?
You know what's interesting is I was watching one of your shows, because if I'm not watching, I have you guys in the background. I rep you guys as much as I can. You guys and
appreciate that.
Ultra, I'm affiliated with you, Spine Ticks, things like that. So I rep you guys. But it was funny because you guys have kind of started doing, or we kind of started doing, you or you guys, whatever, whoever did it first, it doesn't matter. But when we do our spec stuff, we kind of have to be like, hey man, we're not telling you guys to buy this.
Yeah, you got to
stack it. We're just letting you guys know, hey, this might be a book of interest, because I've had people message me like back in the fall, be like, hey man, like I followed your spec. I bought like 30 books and it's not panning out. And I'm like, all right, man, I didn't tell you to do that, but yeah, whatever. So it is what it is.
Gotta be careful. People, you start getting a lot of subscribers. It's like there's a responsibility that comes along with it. You gotta be like, hey, but as a buyer and a watcher, you can't just go off of everything somebody says because no one's always going to be right. So you got to do a little bit of your own homework. You got a little responsibility of your own to take care of,
Exactly, man. Exactly. I couldn't agree better. So,
but speaking of newbie, I only got 29 of those left, so you won't hear me bitch about it as much.
All right, guys. So round 3, Grail versus Grail. Let's go quickly through the previous winners and the previous battles. That way, newcomers, people that haven't checked in on the last couple battles, know what we're doing. So in round 1, we had we had ASM 129 take out Moon Knight. We had Deadpool take out Venom. We had Silver Surfer and Galactus take out Black Panther. Harley took out Poison Ivy. X-Men 1, of course, took out Doom, which that one is still, I don't know. Doom is one of my favorite characters, so yeah. We've got Submariner number 1 taking out Silver Surfer number 1. The Origin, Tomb of Dracula swept Werewolf. Miles took out America Chavez. Rey Mysterio. Mysterio took out Scorpion. Man, I always do that.
I do that
every time, bro.
Mysterio took out Scorpion. This one was one that we spent a lot of time on and talking. It was really fun, but we had Wolverine taking out Giant Size X-Men number 1. The second bracket had Carnage taking out Cable. We had Riddler taking out Penguin. Faces guy over here, Usagi Yojimbo taking out Zatanna.
Y'all know how that happened.
Yeah. Hulk 180 took out first full Galactus. Inhumans took out the ugly ass hymn cover. Fantastic Four took out Spider-Man 1. The Kingpin, one of the most iconic covers in comics, took out Kraven. This one, I was the only one that went against my guy, but Iron Man 55, first appearance, of Thanos took out Adam Warlock. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Batman 1 took out AF 15. This one had a lot of back and forth, and then this one was just complete bullshit. We had first appearance of Thor take out Iron Man. So that leaves us today.
Somebody sounds salty.
Oh man, I was gonna put in Iron Man just anyway, but you know what? I'll play by the rules. You guys know what it is. We put 2 books against one another. We vote at the end, and then that book moves on. All right. So first round of the third bracket. Here we go.
Quick question. I got one quick question.
What's up?
Now, are we just voting on like which book we like more, or is it like which book is the better future investment play? What are we going by?
whatever you choose. If it's a book that you really love, investment wise, like me personally, I mostly go by investment purposes.
Okay.
Where the book is, like in history of comics and things like that. But at the end of the day, and Face always laughs at me, but I always say, if somebody ran up to you on the street and said, "Hey, I got these 2 books, which one would you take?" And that's kind of where like this whole thing started, right? So for those of you that don't know, because there are some new people out there, we got first appearance of Justice League with a price tag and a 3.0 for $3,200 going up against another DC book. First appearance of Suicide Squad in a CGC 6.5. We got a price tag of $2,500. I'll tell you this right now. I'm not the biggest DC guy. I'm more biased towards Marvel. This one has always been one of those iconic covers when you go for Justice League. Suicide Squad doesn't really have a lot of love, in my opinion. I know that they're doing another movie, and it could see another spike, because that's just what happens in our community. It's what happens in our hobby, right? Once it's in our face, it kind of goes up. The thing is, though, that Justice League has way more characters. It's a team up. You can compare it towards Avengers. There's more homage covers with this one than there is to Suicide Squad. My vote is going to go towards Suicide Squad 100%. I just think that it's got more value. It's got more of an upside investment purpose. You can bet that they're probably going to do something way bigger than they did. And with the success that Zack Snyder had, they can only build on this, right? So my vote is first appearance of Justice League 100%.
Have Face.
So it's weird because I just noticed something with DC's team setups on both of these books. Is they're actually bad setups for introducing new characters to the series as far as heroes. Like, neither one of these teams has a roster that you're actually going to see a whole lot through the life of the series as far as new characters. So I was just trying to think about, like, maybe the characters that come into play for like the Suicide Squad and everything, but both of them are always made up of characters that have existed for a while, so it doesn't really play as much of a role in it. And with that being the case, it's going to automatically have to go to the JLA, just because you look at the characters that you're going to have, and it's always going to be the bigger team with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the Suicide Squad always going to be expendable.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one. This is heroes. This is for heroes versus, I don't know, I guess you want to call them anti-heroes, villains. And in comics, the heroes always win when it comes to the stories and when it comes to how much it holds its value. And Justice League is just so much more iconic. So this is kind of a slam dunk for me, and I think everyone in the chat is agreeing. So
yeah, I don't think I've seen one Justice or Suicide Squad yet. I will say, because I do know a few people who own that Suicide Squad book. It's going to come back, because what they're doing with that movie, the actors that they have in it, I guess they're going with that comedic quirkiness to it too. When you got the King Shark and all that stuff, you got John Cena as Peacemaker, like, it's just going, I think, a different direction than the previous project. I think it could hit. So when you're looking at it from, like, say, a financial investment thing, I think you could see that one going up a little bit, way more than Justice League. I just think overall, when you look at it from a long-term play, Justice League, I think, is always going to be the book. When you talk DC, it's the Avengers of DC, basically. And with the success that the Zack Snyder cut, it's just probably going to go up. And I think DC is headed to a good place now. I think they're kind of getting their legs under them again. Because let's face it, I mean, the last like 6 to 8 years, it's kind of just been a disaster. So
yeah,
and people will argue with Aquaman, but like, I mean, I always tell this story. Like, when I went to see Aquaman, I remember going with a few buddies, and like literally there was like a group of like 20 women in front of me. like older women. I remember my mother went to go see it with her girlfriends, you know, like 10 of her girlfriends. Like, so like when people say, well, you know, look at the numbers that that movie did and things like that, like sometimes they're not really reflective of like the true, what the movie really is, or like who really went to go see it, right? Like my mom said, oh, I just wanted to go see Jason Momoa like half naked. Okay, fair. You know,
Yeah.
it is
I
what it
think
is.
Thor didn't target the same audience. I mean,
But, you know, it's just one of those things that I always, because people will argue like, oh, well, man, look at the numbers that Aquaman did. And I always just think of like the ladies in front of me and like my mom and her girlfriends going. So like, to me, it's just like, you know, you could kind of throw numbers outside the door when it comes to that stuff. So.
Lack of choices for DC, right? I mean, how many good movies do they put out? I mean, I hate to knock on them, but you know, they got a long way to catch up to. We'll keep comics out of it, right? In the movies.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, forget about the past. Think about 2011 forward, right? I mean, it's, you know, you take Dark Knight out of the equation. Well, you know, it's not even, Aquaman was a great movie, but how many equivalents did the MCU have? A handful, you know, so.
And I mean, Wonder Woman 2, right? Like that didn't really, you know, I see matchmaking. Yeah, exactly, man. So like you look at all these projects and it's kind of like, so, you know, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. All right. So it's a clean sweep. Justice League moves on. Second batch. Now this round, I think has like 4 rounds of like DC. So, you know, we got to show some love to DC. There are some grails out there in the DC world. So, you know, this was just the way it ended, right? Round number 2, we've got the first Catwoman in Silver Age. Price tag in an 8.5 for $800, going up against Detective Comics 359 for Batgirl. Price tag 4.0 in a 650. Again, guys, these are Canadian prices, so just keep that in mind. For me, I don't know if this might shock a lot of people. I think this one's easily Lois Lane. Like Catwoman, I think, is just more iconic. It's the first Silver Age. You look at all the things that happen with, you know, when you can't afford that golden age, because let's be real. I mean, I don't live in San Francisco. I don't own a tech company. I don't drive a Tesla. So I probably can't afford the first appearance of Catwoman. Face, you might I refresh my memory on when her first appearance is, but I think it's like super early in Batman. You're talking like big bucks. So the next best thing would be this one at $800 Canadian for an 8.0. I mean, that's very reasonable, especially with, you know, like Matt said, you know, they got a lot of catching up to do, but Catwoman is more iconic in my opinion than Batgirl is. 100%. Like I see, and I always joke about this, but I always see more girls dressed up as Catwoman at Halloween than I ever do dressed up as Batgirl.
Damn, this is actually kind of tough. I guess I'll just kind of base it on personal choice, and I'll actually go with the Detective Comics, the first Batgirl, just because it's you know, her actual first appearance, as opposed to Catwoman's just showing up again in the Silver Age. And I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to get her actual first appearance anywhere near as cheap as you will the Lois Lane issue, but again, the Lois Lane issue is going to prevent other challenges. I mean, I think that's going to be pretty hard to find anyway, just because it was on, you know, that Lois Lane comic, which I don't think was huge in sales. I mean, it probably wasn't bad. It you know, it lasted for a while, but I don't think it was real huge. So I think personally, I would just take the Batgirl, and that's all I chalk it up to, is personal choice.
Oof, this is a tough one.
It really is.
You know, I think I'm going to use a little bit of both, right? Personal choice, and also I'm going to go back to kind of Marvel, and I'm going to kind of use the blueprint since I deal a little bit more with that. So the book sitting over this shoulder, right? That's FF4. So that's first Silver Age appearance of Submariner, right?
Yep.
So that's a book that I love because I'm a Fantastic Four guy and a Submariner guy. It's like the best of both worlds for me. Are there better grails, better first appearances, like even of a lesser known character in Silver Age? Absolutely. So if you like one of these characters, then that's the book you go with. If you're just looking at like which book is a better investment, I think it's got to be Detective Comics 359 because it's the actual first appearance as opposed to the first appearance. So from the investment standpoint, I would go Detective Comics, and I think just also I like the cover more on the Detective Comics 359, so I'm going to go Detective Comics. I'm going to go Batgirl, Barbara Gordon.
Jesus, both of you guys going up against me here. Oh my God. Okay, well, okay. I get what you're saying. I really thought that this one, because of the fact, like, when you look at, like, say, characters like Captain America, Bucky Barnes, Catwoman, Joker, like, there's a lot of these that, like, their golden age appearances are so much. And you touched on it right there with Submariner. Like, the first time Submariner shows up is not Fantastic Four #4. It's his Silver Age. And a lot of people don't realize that. But even that book, like, when you think about, like, the next best thing, people can't afford, $100,000 on a comics. What do they do?
Yeah.
They go to the next one where, like, they can afford it at like $800 if they're a big Catwoman fan. For me, it was just going based on, like, more legendary, more iconic character. And I'm a sucker for the white covers. So for that. So I guess.
And the thing is, though, Newbie, you're not wrong either in your reasoning. It's just you put her up against Batgirl. So.
And I think the title hurts a little bit, right? The fact that it's in a Lois Lane title, I think gives it. I subtract a half a point for that, and I think that's kind of what finalized my decision on this one.
Yeah, man, it's funny that you say that because I've always been a fan, or not a fan, but like an advocate for. I think that's what hurt Rogue for so many years was the fact that
100%.
She's in Avengers Annual number 10, and people are like, "Wait, what? No, she's X-Men." You know what I mean? Like when you talk to newer people who might not know, they're always like, "Wait, what? What do you mean?" And it's like, no, her first appearance is in Avengers. It's not X-Men. So it kind of throws you for a loop. But yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. So
right. Why would you ever go looking for Catwoman and Lois Lane? Like
exactly. So yeah. So I guess Batgirl moves on. Okay. All right. I thought it was gonna be more, cat fight, I guess. But hey, whatever.
Was that a fucking pun?
Yeah, it was.
It was a little one.
This one, a lot of people have been talking about it. It's, I think, only right that you put both of these two books together. If you guys don't know, we've got Heroes for Hire #1, Mr. Luke Cage, which was a successful show. You're looking at a price tag of a CGC 8.0 in the ballpark of 900 Canadian dollars, going up against Marvel Premiere #15, the second best character with the name Iron in it, but you got the first appearance of Iron Fist, price tag of a CGC 9.4 at $800. So you kind of have similar price points for, I know it's a grade, a grade and a half basically up, but you can kind of compare these characters. Both these characters were in shows. Both of these characters are rumored to come back. Me personally, just because I prefer Luke Cage. This is just a total preference. At the same time, it could be an investment purpose. I think Luke Cage is the winner in this one. I have said in the past that, Inhumans was a horrible show. And, I still chase that Fantastic Four 45. I think that, Inhumans is going to be great. I think they're going to do something with it. And this is the time to buy that book. Iron Fist was terrible. If there's anybody in the chat and Face or Matt, you guys like the show, hey, kudos to you. I thought the show was terrible. So it's not to say that they couldn't do it better, which the bar is set really low in my opinion. I think that book has a lot more potential in the sense that like it's really low right now, so the investment could be higher. But I think Luke Cage has a longer, how do I say? It's like I think he's got a longer life in Marvel. In that sense, for me, if somebody approached me in the middle of the road and said, "Hey, newbie, which one do you want?" I'm probably leaning towards Luke Cage 100%.
Okay. Yeah, this is another one that's a tough decision, and like, everything with these two shows happened around the same time. They both came about at about the same time, and then obviously the deal with Netflix went through at the same time, so they've kind of been out of the attention for the same amount of time, and the price points that you have there are pretty similar. The thing is with Luke Cage, I feel like we've seen a fairly decent version of Luke Cage. Like I really liked the Luke Cage series, so I thought it was pretty successful. Mostly the first half of season 1, but you know, I was all right with the rest of the series after that. But Iron Fist was fucking horrible. Like it was just bad. So I feel like being that Luke Cage was successful and you know it's had the same amount of time off and it's sitting at the price point it is, maybe if we see a successful Iron Fist, it could actually go a little higher. So I guess I'll just take the Marvel Premiere 15 just based on that alone. But other than that, you could pretty much flip a coin. And the two characters are so intertwined together too. It's pretty much like coin.
Yeah, this is like you guys both said. This is another super close one. This is right in my wheelhouse. I talk about both these books all the time. Hero for Hire. We talked about that a bunch. How undervalued it was. I think the needle moved a little bit on that now. I'm sure a lot of people had a hand in that, but it's definitely people started taking notice to it where it was based on when the Netflix series came out and where it is now. So if we assume that the MCU has a bigger effect on books, then it should have a higher ceiling than previously. You know, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, first appearance, first issue. I think that's always fun when that happens. So I think that gives it a little advantage. But I think the way you're going to see these characters, guys, in the MCU first is together. Yeah. I think, you know, maybe not their first, maybe you see them separately, but I think that's where they really shine is they're going to do a Heroes for Hire series. I heard some rumors about that. Run out and get that first team appearance of these two, the first time they meet and the first time they call themselves Heroes for Hire. You guys want to have those two books, cheap books to get right now. The Iron Fist definitely took a hit because I saw a comment in the chat there because of the Netflix series. It definitely took a hit. Right. But I think with Shang-Chi, I think people are expecting a meetup or an end credit scene or something like that. And this book has jumped in the last few weeks, like significantly. Very tough. I'm going personal preference here. I love Luke Cage, so I'm going to just go Luke Cage. Ooh. And it's so hard because I love both these characters, but Luke Cage I like it better. You have diversity, which, hey, you know, you can't ignore that. The MCU is going for diversity. I'm good with that. Let's do it. So Luke Cage here for Hire, number 1. That's my choice here.
I was going to be upset if Iron Fist made it further than Iron Man. Like I really was. So thank you guys for making this happen for me. Like I remember going through this presentation a few days ago and being like, Iron Fist better not make it. But yeah. I think you can't really go wrong. Like you said, Matt, like it's really close. I think both these characters are going to come kind of similar, if not at the same time. The books that you mentioned, you've talked about that on your spec show. People should be listening. I 100% agree. I'm kind of on the, hunt for those. Again, with all these lockdowns we've had, it's been really hard to find books. And, let's face it, when you're locked down and you only have eBay to look for, I mean, it's tough because you don't want to pay those eBay prices. This, though, like in Humans, I do think that Iron Fist will be done a little bit better. It can only go up. And with what we saw in Shang-Chi, I think if that's a success and they kind of put the same kind of action and martial arts into it that they did Shang-Chi, I think this has success all, written all over it. It's funny because when Shang-Chi came out, what was it, yesterday? I was watching the trailer and it didn't hit me until like the end that I was watching a Marvel movie, like a trailer. Yeah. It didn't clue into me. I was like I knew obviously I was watching Shang-Chi, but it didn't clue in my brain. That's like, hey, this is a Marvel thing. So yeah, I think it's going to be really great. I think that is only going to elevate Iron Fist in the end. But again, the best time to buy those mega keys is when they're down in price. And this one right here, well, both of them, but more so Iron Fist, both of them are down in price right now. So compared to in the past. So this is the perfect time to pick them up 100%.
I feel like I probably would have had a totally different answer to that one too before the Shang-Chi trailer dropped. But man, that trailer was fucking great.
That was great. Yeah.
That's how you know they're doing it right, newbie. Yeah, 100%. So Luke Cage moving on. Thank God.
Sweet Christmas.
Whew. All right. Round number 4. We've got, This one was a little tough, like matching up, because I wanted to match up something with first appearance of Swamp Thing, but we've got arguably the most underrated Avenger, I think. But we got first Ant-Man, Mr. Hank Pym. Price tag CGC, no cover, sells for $700. And a price tag in a CGC 5.0 goes for $4,200. It's not the greatest cover, but if you like those old school covers, Tales to Astonish, this is a cover for you. Going up against the first appearance of Swamp Thing. I told you there's more DC in this one than the last couple brackets, but we got a price tag of $2,500 for a CGC 7.5. This one's tough for me. I really like Ant-Man. I think he's a cool guy, cool character. I have the first Scott Lang. I've got, I like the movies, even though people think like they're kind of corny. I really do like the movies. The only thing is we've already seen Ant-Man. We've already seen Scott Lang. We've already seen Hank Pym. So when you're looking at, like, say, an investment purpose, if they ever were to do a Swamp Thing, I think that one has the biggest jump. I think a lot of people go after this House of Secrets. For me, though, personal preference, I think I'm going to stick to Ant-Man, man. I think if somebody came and said, hey, newbie, which ones do you want? I'd probably stick with Ant-Man, just a more, I always think of, like, one of the things when new characters come out is markability. And I always talk about that, especially with, like, females, where, like, look at Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel came out and Walmart said, hey, 2 lanes, 2 aisles, we're going to dedicate this to anything that Captain Marvel underwear, socks, anything. I think Ant-Man has more markability than, say, like a Swamp Thing could. I think just the history of Ant-Man and things like that. So for me, it's Tales to Astonish 100%.
I love how you tried to make it like you were thinking about picking the DC book, even though you had zero intention to. That was really good. I mean, that's why you run the show.
Right, he totally did. He almost made it sound completely legit. But
yeah.
On the other hand, man, I'm gonna take the House of Secrets and the first Swamp Thing.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna.
Bro, there's so much potential in the Swamp Thing property just itself that it's insane. Like, I mean, yeah, you get with Tales of Astonish, you get a first appearance of an Avenger, and it's a cool character and everything like that. But with Swamp Thing, like, and you're starting to see it with like Marvel even wants to tap into it in the MCU. They've said that they're taking Doctor Strange in a more kind of like horror type route. The superhero / horror stuff is really just starting to be a thing in the movies, and Swamp Thing is the perfect franchise for DC to do it with. And the thing is, DC doesn't even have to attach Swamp Thing to its superheroes at all. Like, it has its whole fucking own universe, its whole own lore, that there's so much untapped potential there for the different parliaments and everything like that. Man, Swamp Thing's a great character, and unfortunately he's criminally underused by DC. The potential is there, but the problem is, yeah, he's DC. So, but yeah, even being that he is DC, I have to hope that they're gonna get their act together at some point, and they'll use Swamp Thing right. And yeah, I think that would be the one to go with for sure.
Okay. Face, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, brother.
It's okay, you're allowed.
That was a good explanation. I see where you're coming from, but to me, I'm gonna try to take the Marvel versus DC out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm just looking at these 2 books, Tales to Astonish 27 is a super grail. Like, if you find that book, you're calling all your friends. You know what I mean? Like, this is the price between these is not even close. Right, you could just see it there.
Yeah,
a 7.5 Tales to Astonish probably goes for, like, it's got to go for 25-30 grand, right? I mean, somewhere in that area. I mean, if you see these 2 books laying next to each other and someone's like, you could pick up one and walk away. Unless you're a huge Swamp Thing fan, you're probably picking up Tales to Astonish. 10 center versus 15 center. Give me that early Tales to Astonish 27 every day, all day. I don't give a shit. So that's an easy one. That's an easy one for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. You know, I've got a funny story. I came across one Tales to Astonish back in June. So I just started YouTube. I actually, if you guys go back, I think the second or third video I did was like my top 5 like most wanted books, and this one was number 3 on my list. And I came across a book, Tales to Astonish. The only problem was it was like in bad shape, which is fine. Like I like that vintage look. You know, I like those older books to look older. Cover attached, of course. But the pen. So somebody went with pen and penned Tales to Astonish and the logo, and I was like, the guy offered me a really good price, but I just couldn't get over having to see that pen mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? It can't happen. I can't spend this amount of money on this. But yeah, Tales to Astonish, like Matt said, you find this book, you're probably going to go on StreamYard and say, hey guys, I found this book, and talk about it, and you know, try to convince everybody that Ant-Man is the greatest character of all time. Right? You're just going to do that. You're just
I mean, I've heard of, I've heard of people like, you know, finding a house of secrets hiding somewhere in like, you know, an old collection, or like, a vintage bookshop, stuff like that. You'll never find, like, I don't want to say never, but the chances of finding like a Tales to Astonish 27 like anywhere, like just besides pure luck, unless they have like a full run of it, is so hard. You know, it's such a rare book. It's an older book. I mean, what is it? It's got it probably by 4 or 5 years, right? Maybe even more. So
it's yeah. And again, man, it's just one of those that's
early Silver Age, 62. Yeah. I mean, I think it is 62. House of Secrets is what?
House of Secrets, I think
68.
I was going to say 70, 72, somewhere around there. So
no, it's got to be Silver Age, right? I think it's Silver Age. It's 15th center.
I thought Face would be on this because he talks about, you know, Swamp Thing, same with Hyper, like that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was just gonna say too. Is to Matt's point. Yeah, I am a pretty big Swamp Thing fan. So if like honestly, I mean, if you're given the choice between the two books, even being a Swamp Thing fan, if you absolutely hate Hank Pym, you know, and
yeah, that's different.
You should still take the Tales to Astonish, sell that motherfucker, and then buy 4 Swamp Things if you want to.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah, you were right. It's 70. I think it's 71.
70. Okay, yeah.
70, 71. So this is pretty much Bronze Age. Like I know some people consider still like that but this is essentially Bronze Age. So now this even is. I didn't really, I should have known that. So you're going Silver Age, early Silver Age versus early Bronze Age. Come on, this is
no doubt. All right, so 2-1. Hank Pym is moving on, and again, guys, because I did see some comments. First Ant-Man. Yeah, just remember it's Hank Pym though. It's not Scott Lang. So just keep that in mind. Because it's kind of somebody had said, "Hey man, because they were trying to argue the Miles thing, not with me, but just in the conversation, right? They were just saying their piece, and they said, look at Ant-Man. Like everybody goes to that Marvel Spotlight book. Is it Spotlight? I can't remember. First Hank Pym. No, Marvel Premiere 47. First Scott
Lang.
Yeah, right? But then people will be like, no, it's this one because it's Hank Pym who's really the first one. And they try to compare this to Spider-Man. And I'm like, look, I like Ant-Man, but like you can't compare. You're comparing apples to oranges at that point. So it is what it is.
That's a wildly undervalued book, though. The one you just mentioned, 47. First Scott Lang as Ant-Man. Yeah, I think it just never caught on. And then it just followed that trend of never going up. I think, you know what, with the market where it is right now, as soon as you see something, I think that book finally gets its kind of investors in that book will be happy, I think, in the next 2 years.
I got I got an 8.5 copy. And I believe I spent, because it was before I was actually, tracking on spreadsheets, like what I was actually spending. I think I spent about $140 Canadian on it, which is like laughable for the character and what he brings to the MCU. Yeah. I mean, say what you will. Yeah, I get it. They're corny. They go more for the comedy in his runs in movies. But at the same time, I mean, he was the one that came up with the, quantum thing to Iron Man. And if it wasn't for him, then, Thanos would still be around and blah, 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 blah. So just keep that in mind.
Well, and
Swamp Thing.
the thing with Hank Pym is that, with Marvel and Disney, they're probably always going to shy away from kind of using him as Ant-Man. So I don't think I don't know. I don't remember what Scott Lang was doing in the comics before the Ant-Man movie came out, but was he? I don't remember if he was Ant-Man at the time, but even after they had used Scott Lang, they got away from him and went to Eric O'Grady for a while as Ant-Man and everything. And they went back to Scott Lang just because Marvel really didn't want to use Hank Pym as their Ant-Man in the movies because the whole beating his wife thing, and so kind of some shit they didn't want to attach to it.
We all know the rat. Some people consider it Mickey Mouse, but we all know the rat saved the MCU.
There you go.
All right, so Hank Pym moves on. Round number 5. I told you guys it was DC. So we got first Silver Age Flash, price tag in a CGC 3.5 of $745 Canadian versus the first app of Sin Estro. I always butcher it with my Spanish tongue, but we got a price tag here of CGC 4.5 for $780. Similar grades, similar prices, DC. 10 centers. I've always said if there's one character in the DC world that I really enjoy watching, that I really like, that I would really root for, and not because a Canadian played him in a horrible movie, but it's Green Lantern. Green Lantern to me is one of the characters I think DC needs to put out there, needs to do. I just think that a whole realm that they got going on with that is going to be unreal if they do it properly. Big time villain. I could care less. And I'm going to upset some people because, I seem to always do. I could care less about Flash. I don't own one Flash book in my collection. 0. So for me, I don't know what it is. I always usually tend to go for those villains and stuff like that, but it's Green Lantern for me.
Oh, man. I feel kind of targeted by these matchups, man. It's like you pick all of my favorite characters and put them up against books that they probably have no business going up against.
He's getting you back for Iron Man, bro. He's getting you back for Iron
right?
Man. There it is.
I'm obviously taking the Green Lantern just because I have a personal, like Sinestro is one of my favorite characters. And again with the Flash, it's still that it is that first Silver Age appearance, but it's that Silver Age attachment to it. Whereas Sinestro, you are still getting a legit first appearance. But man, it's still the Flash. It's still a hero. So the spec would always side with the Flash. Yeah. Personally, I'm taking Green Lantern. But yeah, anybody with some sense has got to take the Flash, I think.
What does that say about us, man? What does that say?
Well, I never claimed that I got sense, so.
That's all right. This is tough because usually I lean with the hero, right? I just made the case for hero over villain. But Sinestro is a different, he's a different type of villain, and you got a first Silver Age appearance.
That's the hang up right there. That Silver Age.
Yeah, it's and I'm not a big Flash fan either. So this is just pure. If I was using my investment brain, I'm going with the Flash book. But personal preference, and for this choice, we're going with Green Lantern. I'm going first appearance Sinestro for this one.
Ooh, clean sweep.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, we have Flash. We have the show. He's having his own movie come out. Mind you, I'll be honest. If you guys have never heard me say this, Ezra Miller. If I ran into him on the street and he had that Flash suit, I'd be like, no. Like, can you call the cops? Like, I would just think that it's just like a kid dressed up. Like he's not a true Flash for me. He doesn't look like a superhero. So I'm interested to see because I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go see it. I watch every DC movie. I'm going to go give it a chance. I've just never been the biggest Flash fan. I did like the TV show that they did. I thought it was really good. It kind of convinced me, like, hey, you know what? If they use this actor, if they do this stuff, it could be good. But then they got Ezra Miller, and I was like, ugh. So it kind of just got me back to that, like, you know what? I there's a reason why I don't like Flash. Green Lantern, I think, has a great potential. I think that HBO series with the Green Lanterns is going to be big. I think it's going to set up Hal Jordan. You're talking about a really good, dare I say, iconic villain in Sinestro. I think if done properly, he could have a lot of, you know, people kind of hating on him, and, you know, bad publicity, good publicity, it's still publicity. So yeah, I'm just happy that this book won. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. So yeah, mind you, it's not the greatest cover. I mean, you know, when you think about like superheroes, this guy's like X-raying a girl's panties here. It's kind of like, you know, dude, what do you do kind of thing?
That's why I picked it. I mean,
right. Yeah. So for those reasons, yeah, I'm going that. I'm glad to see that it went Green Lantern way. So we got Green Lantern clean sweep. That's pretty good. Round 6. And again, guys, you know, with the previous rounds and the previous books and the books in round 4, you know, I try to be as fair and try to find price points and things like that. Sometimes I just have to put 2 books up just to kind of give it respect, because for some people, you know, they're Grails. So we got first appearance of Ghost Rider, price tag in a CGC 4.5. We got $1,400 going up against, I don't know, probably outside of Mephisto, the second most popular character of 2021 thus far. We've got first appearance of Vision. No, not White Vision, just Vision. Price tag in an 8.0 CGC. We're looking at $1,200. Is it crazy to say that like West Coast Avengers 45 is more expensive than the actual true appearance of Vision? Like that's just insane to me. But you guys already know I said it was insane, the fact that that book was more expensive than New Mutants 98 at the time.
That shit doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, like that one was just crazy to me. And to this day, it's still, you know, I still have people messaging me like sold listings of like that West Coast Avengers book. Like, hey, newbie, look, it's still going up. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think New Mutants 98 in a 9.8 is gonna be if he just pops up in an end credit scene? You don't think that book's gonna go 2,500 or better? 3,500? I mean, come on.
Right.
You know, I know we're getting off topic here, and you know we've given love to New Mutants 98, but I just want to say this. I think New Mutants 98 will be one of those iconic books for, like, say the people who, you know, the kids, I guess, who are 20 and under, you know, 25 and under even, just because they've grown up with, you know, the first R-rated kind of character, you know, Ryan Reynolds, you know, kind of swearing and doing his own thing, rated R, boom, boom, boom. He's popular, like everybody dresses up like him, you know, you see it everywhere. It's kind of like Thanos, like how iconic Thanos got. That's how Deadpool is to me. So I think like later on, you know, in 10, 15 years, I think that New Mutants book, even though there's so many copies of it, is going to be one of those iconic books. I really do.
Yeah, I think you're right. And a lot of people don't realize the reason why it always had a pretty high price tag, even with, you know, Deadpool's cult following, is because, you know, that was towards the end of the New Mutants run. Yeah. And just notoriously, right, historically, end of comic runs, like we see all these final issues always be so much more, you know, money for no reason. Not for no reason, because they're scarce. So we're talking a lot of people had stopped collecting it at that point. So the high grade copies, people that really took care of these, were fewer and far between than a lot of the major characters that came out in the 90s. So I think a lot of people don't realize that that's another reason why the price tag, beyond just the popularity of the character, but the scarcity of the book and high grade, because it was a book at first that nobody really cared about. So not a lot of people were even ordering that, even though it was a time when everyone had a diamond account in the 90s, you know?
It's so crazy to me. Yeah, I've got a few older collectors who literally say, like, man, I have like 30 copies of this, and they like still, even though we've already seen 2 movies, have not even touched it. They haven't even come out of the box. They're like, no, man, I'm just going to hold on to it.
Just hold
They
it.
think the same way. They think there's more of an iconic piece to it later down the road, and I couldn't agree more with them. I think just, Deadpool is going to be one of those characters that's really, really popular down the road. Just it changed a lot in how we see it. Now it sucks because like any Ryan Reynolds movie I see, I just see Deadpool. Like I just see him play Deadpool. No matter what role he plays, it's just always Deadpool to me. So, but yeah, let's get back to round 6. Let's show love to these 2 books. I could care less about Vision, and I know Iron Man was responsible for building him, but we're not talking about the movies. We're not talking about any of that shit. I'm going Ghost Rider. I think it's just one of those books that will have a bigger jump investment-wise. I mean, the first appearance of Vision, I think, is kind of capped. I think more people are going to go towards that West Coast Avengers book. Iconic, yes, I give it respect. It does have an iconic cover. There have been some homage covers that they've done with that book. I just think Ghost Rider and investment side, the character, I think it's going to be really popular the second go around just because of the fact they won't use Nicolas Cage, or at least I hope they don't use Nicolas Cage. But I really do think that they have something with Ghost Rider. Investment purpose, personal preference. I'm going Ghost Rider all day with this one.
This is actually for me, it's a really easy matchup to choose, and it's just because, like, I mean, you have up there like the 2 price tags. Price tag on the one at 4.5 is $1,400. The other one at 8.0 is what, $1,200? I think that says.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a pretty significant price difference there. And again, you go back to like we were talking about a few minutes ago with the whole superhero / horror genre that's becoming a thing. While Doctor Strange isn't necessarily a bad choice for it, it's not necessarily the best choice. I feel like Ghost Rider would be more suited to it, and you're probably going to see that somewhere down the line. You're going to see Ghost Rider jump into the whole horror side of the MCU. But both of them are great books. Great first appearances. I would say both of them are pretty iconic covers. So you can't really go wrong owning either one. But yeah, there's too much potential there with Ghost Rider and too high of a price tag to not choose that one.
Yeah, this is easy. I don't even. It's Ghost Rider, right? It's Marvel Spotlight 5. It's one of my favorite characters as well, so that doesn't help Vision's case here, but just
Right.
a more iconic character. And it's technically not even the first appearance of a Ghost Rider, but obviously this is the most popular Ghost Rider. So we had talked about that before, like right. But this, like with Pym, right, with Ant-Man, right? That was a different version of Ant-Man. So this is an interesting one where it's not even, close. So yeah, this is an easy one. And then just quickly back to the New Mutants 98 thing. I saw somebody in the chat. Yeah, I never said it was a rare book. For the time period in a high grade when people were ordering, when print counts were like over 1 million, that's what I was comparing to. Obviously not nowhere near rare as far as, counts in the 70s and 80s, but for the time period and where everybody was keeping everything, everyone was keeping books, nice and tidy in the 90s because they started realizing that they thought everybody could become rich. This was a book that kind of you would have thought been more taken care of than it was. That's the only point I was trying to make.
I think, because I'm seeing some of the comments too, JB, I think that's the name. Yeah, I mean, that first round happened like a month ago. We try to do these every like 3 weeks. And yeah, I think, again, it's just personal preference, but you had a good competition with Venom and New Mutants because the print runs are massive for both of them. They're both iconic characters. Give you that Venom has, I think, the most swipes for, covers made from like other people. But yeah, I mean, I guess it goes back to what it is. I think right now, and this is just my personal opinion, I think Deadpool, with it having a third movie and it probably getting to X-Force and probably showing up in X-Men, it's probably got a bigger and better path than, say, Venom, because once this second movie is done with Sony, I think it's going to be a while before, Venom shows up at all. I really do. With just everything that's going on and what they're showing us or, leaking with the new Spider-Man stuff, I think it's going to be a while before we even see, Venom or a black suit Tom Holland, which I would love to see. It's just, I think that Venom stuff is going to be a while away. That's the perfect time to buy ASM 300, because I do think that there's going to be another dip, and that's when you want to buy it. Because even right now, like, the prices for 300 are crazy. But like Matt said, and a lot of people think, right? New Mutants 98. As soon as you look at the price now, being almost $1,800 to $2,000 for a 9.8. As soon as they say, hey, here he is, this is a little trailer, like, hey, this is a Deadpool in Morocco or, Fiji, whatever. The second there's one picture taken that's leaked and that book is $3,000, $3,500, wherever the case may be on that book, it's just going to grow, right? I also do think that Deadpool and, Face and Matt said, it's going to be one of those iconic characters down the road in 15, 20 years, because that's what the new generation grew up on. So,
yep.
Any other thing, Newbie, as far as this list goes, and what they were saying in chat about personal preference, it does have to come into play in these competitions, or these when you put these books up against each other, because some of them for like this, I mean, it's pretty clear cut which one you should choose, but then on other ones it's not so clear cut. And again, any person that, like, I just feel like if I'm going to get on and I'm going to watch somebody talk about different comics, and whatever, and I know that like say that I know Matt Forge's favorite character is Superman, but he goes on there and says that he would rather buy like a Wolverine comic over Superman. Well, I'm probably going to be less inclined to watch him, because I mean, if he can't even support his own favorite characters, then you know what I mean? Like, you got to buy what you love.
Yeah. So. And again, the premise of this was always just personal. Like, and when you go back to, say, the first round, we always talked about, like, hey, you're walking down the street, somebody pulls a van over and says, hey, I got these 2 books. Which one would you take? At that point, what takes over? Does the investment side of you take over? Does the personal preference take over? Does the cover take over? What takes over? And that's the beauty of this thing, of this hobby, is everybody has their own character and they have their own reasons why, or they have their own series or their own team, and they have the reasons why.
Different in every situation.
Yeah, you don't always have to follow the herd. It's, I'm Iron Man fan. I'm cool with it. Iron Man 3 sucked, but I still have an Iron Man 3 movie poster right behind me. It is what it is. We all have our characters, and that's okay. We don't always have to agree, and we can still have fun with it. So
yeah, no, like you said, there's personal preferences definitely plays a huge role, but at some point, right, that's when there's a point where I guess the money, you can't walk away. Like, for example,
right? Like, there really is.
Okay, so here's a good example, because you got to think lateral. So my favorite character, Punisher. Okay,
yeah. So
if somebody was sitting there that in a 9.8, just the best grade you're going to get in that book, right? I don't think there's any 9.9s on the census. I could be wrong, but 9.8. Okay, and they're like, do you want this 9.8 or do you want this AF-15 5.0? Well, give me the AF-15 5.0. Right. I'll go and I'll sell it. I'll buy myself 2 9.8s and then like a 1.5 AF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but see, at least you'd come out and say that.
Right. Listen, anybody that doesn't say that is either lying or they're just not using common sense, because
exactly.
You can go and buy that 9.8. You know what I mean? It's not. Listen, if there was only one 9.8 on the census and that was it right in front of you, that's a different story. But we know that's not the case. Yeah. So take the money, make it fun, the hobby, put some money in your pocket, and now you have both books. So there's
exactly.
And Matt, you know what? You touched on something very interesting there, because nobody's actually, the people that follow me, nobody's really said anything, including Face or Hyper. But my ultimate grail, being Iron Man, is Tales of Suspense 39, 100%. Like, if I could trade any book or my collection in for that book, I do it in a heartbeat. 9.9 out of 10 times I would. But if you guys have been following me, you guys know that I purchased a Hulk 181 7.0, a Giant Size X-Men 1 5.5. But if you look at like the price points of that, I could have had Tales of Suspense 39 already. At some point, though, you have to keep into consideration, like, okay, when can I buy that other book? Is it? You guys always hear me say linear or like this. Tales of Suspense is like this. Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men is like this right now. So at the end of the day, I bought those books from an investment side in order to fund my hobby and possibly get my super grail, which is Tales of Suspense 39 later on, right? So sometimes, yeah, it goes by the character that you love, personal preference, but at the same time, it's also a battle with like the investor and like how you want to see the rest of your hobby paid out in the long run, right? So I think it's a good argument, right? Sometimes people think it's easy, but like the moment that happens to you, if somebody came up to you and said, hey, I got these 2 books, which one would you take? You'd be interested to see like which side of you takes over, which is preference or which is, I guess, the greed or the investment, right? So
yeah, well, the purist argument and all that, listen, don't let anybody tell you that, flipping your comics is evil. Like flipping used to be a bad word and speculator used to be a bad word, but this is an expensive hobby, especially today. It's right. Yeah. I don't think it's ever been more expensive than it is right now. I mean, somebody could probably argue with that fact, but it's one of the top 2 or 3 times it's ever, this is the most expensive it's been. So you have to be able to build some, we're not all millionaires. So you have to build some equity, like you said, to be able to maybe one day get that first Iron Man or this or that. So it's a little tougher than it used to be where you just collect what you love. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't just collect what you love, but if what you love is a book that costs $25,000, then you got to make some moves to get there. So
I guess my argument doesn't make any sense. Newbie Comics at Instagram, we can chat, man. I got no problem. I just don't want to kind of go away from what we're doing. But yeah, we can definitely chat, man. I love talking comics. So comics, sneakers, sports, investment, you hit me up. We can chat. No worries.
This guy JB seems to have a lot of answers in the chat right now.
Yeah.
He seems like he's got it all figured out. So I want to talk to him because I got to get all my tips from this guy because he apparently knows everything.
It kind of goes back to like Venom, right? Like if you guys have been following me, you guys know I bought Venom, a 9.0 ASM 300 in January, like the second week of January. I bought it. I paid $700 Canadian for it. I ended up selling it for $1,200. I only sold it because I know later on I'll be able to get it. I used that money to buy 2 other books, flipped it, and then I was able to get my Hulk 181. I bought Hulk 181 because as soon as Wolverine comes in, that's just gonna go berserk. Like I've already made almost $8,000 in profit just from holding on that Hulk 181 for like 2 months, right? So in the end of the day, I'll be able to get that Tales of Suspense 39 plus fund the rest of my hobby for however long I want to do it, instead of going after that Tales of Suspense, which is linear. Like Iron Man is done. So unless you're an Iron Man fan, you're not really going to want to, you're not going to buy it. So it's just linear where Hulk 181 is going up. So I hope that clarifies it. But again, I'm down to talk, man. I'm good. I have 5 sisters, so I can hold it down with the best of them.
You're so nice, dude. Good for you.
Okay. All right. I see you. Okay. I'll get you a wrench. Okay. This next one is actually worked out because me and Matt were actually talking about this. It's funny that the trailer just dropped yesterday. Is it trailer or is it teaser? Because the way I'm taking it is a teaser, right?
Yeah, that's what I was told. I could be wrong, but teaser trailer. I guess that's the right way. So here's why I put these 2 books together at the time that I did. And that Shang-Chi price is probably wrong because I did this presentation about a week ago. So we got obviously the first appearance of Shang-Chi, Marvel special edition, number 15, with a price tag at the time a week ago, and somebody could correct me, but a 9.0 CGC was going for $1,700 best offer. Going up against Eternals with a price tag and a 9.8 of $900 best offer.
Here's why I put these two books together. One, we've never seen anything like one another, right? Like, and people will say, well, newbie, you know, I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. It's probably going to be like Eternals. I don't think so. I really don't think it's going to be. I do think it's similar, but at the same time, I don't, if that makes any sense. Shang-Chi, on the other side is martial arts. We've never really seen it on the big screen. The trailer kind of proved that to a lot of people. A lot of people are, you know, it's crazy where that book was like a week ago compared to today. Me personally, though, I'm still running with Eternals. I think Eternals is so undervalued, and you could say the argument for both. I think Eternals is so undervalued, but I think Eternals has more of a runway. It's got more avenues for more characters to come in, possible crossovers and things like that. While I say that, yes, Shang-Chi does have the same possibility with Iron Fist and Luke Cage and all that stuff. But I'm still leaning towards Eternals. I think it's super undervalued. I think they could do something. Look at the cast too. Like, you know, Face, you've heard me say this many times. The cast. Look at the damn cast that they chose. Though that cast is not staying for one project. They've got big goals for that. I'm definitely going more Eternals. I think once the Eternals trailer comes out, I think we're all going to have our, you know, we're going to need our jaws picked up from the floor. I think it's really going to be something that we've never seen before.
This is another one that's kind of close. Just because I like both characters.
There he is.
Oh, sorry, Face.
Oh,
Sorry.
shit. Look at this guy, late as fuck.
What's up, brother?
Power came back. Yo, Matt, what's going on?
What's up, my dude?
You know what? Hold up.
Good
Let
to
me
see you.
let me back up. I always go after Hyper. Let me just step out and let Hyper go first and jump in. Just jump in the deep end.
Deep end. Oh wait. Well, listen. I don't know what these guys told you, but I had a power outage, so I was basically in the dark eating my Uber Eats, and then I got on the stream once the power came back on. So, and Matt, I think I kind of have to blame you a bit because I think there's like a bit of a defects curse, because every time I share the stream with either you, Jay, or Guy, I think the 2 times on Spine Takes, those 2 shows got taken down. And the one time my power goes out is the day that Newbie announces that you're coming on the stream. So I don't know, man. It's
I don't know. I thought you were maybe watching a little bit too much Eva, and they cut your internet, and that's what happened. You know, let's just tell the truth, Hyper. Come on, brother.
you know what? I will. Okay, not to veer too much off topic, but last week's Pressable Defect show, I didn't even know who Eva was until you mentioned AV and Nominee. I'm like, huh. I mean, you know, you got to do your research on your guests, right? And then,
You do. I mean, come on. We're prepared, brother. Yeah, she's
So,
queen. She's queen defect right now.
yeah,
So,
but I mean, I'll never forget what Erod said about you. I mean, you know what Erod said, right? I mean, we don't need to mention that.
oh God, yeah. There's a lot of stuff we can't mention.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this is going to make it interesting because we're going to have a tiebreaker. So we're probably going to have to use the chat as the tiebreaker moving on. So yeah, Hyper. I don't know if you tuned in, but my vote here is for Eternals. I just think it's going to, you know, and like I said, I put these 2 books together just because I feel like we're not going to see what these books, you know, we've never seen what these 2 projects are going to have in store for us yet, right? So for that value and everything like that, I get the Asian market is probably, you know, like it's going to go crazy for this character. It's, you know, the first Asian character. I totally get that. I just think Eternals is probably, it's just the book. You know, I collect it. I think it's super undervalued. For me, my vote went to Eternals.
Who's going next? Are we going like from top to
For
bottom?
now.
Well, I was going last, so
Yeah. So
however you guys want to do it.
Yeah, we were going me, Face. We'll go you, and then we'll leave Matt. Matt's the guest, so he gets the spotlight.
All right, cool. So I guess it's Face then.
Yeah.
All right, so well, shit. And there's a lot of different factors that you can look at with both of these books. They both got movies that are coming out soon. We just got the trailer for Shang-Chi. which was great. Looks like it's gonna be an awesome movie. So, obviously there's a reason to desire that book, especially now. Eternals is coming soon. Both of them kind of like, I guess they play into different areas of the MCU. The Masters Kung Fu is going to tap into that martial arts and sort of mysticism side of the Marvel universe, whereas the Eternals is going to go with more cosmic. Masters of Kung Fu would probably, like, I think someone pointed out in chat that it's going to appeal more to the fan base that is into martial arts, the Asian community. It's going to appeal to people that get into like a lot of the the more mystic, I guess not like Doctor Strange type of mystic, but it is still mystic in the same sort of vein side of Marvel universe. So, man, again, it's got to kind of, they're so close, it almost has to come down to like personal preference, because and like Eternals, you get a whole team, but there are more Eternals that do come later in the series. So who knows what we'll see out of that franchise. Shit, I'm kind of stalling. I don't even know which one I want to pick yet, man. Shit. I'll take Eternals, I guess. Yeah, I'll take Eternals.
All right.
Fuck it, there's a team, so
All right.
it gives me better odds, I guess.
We got 2 Eternals.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go against the grain on both of you, and I'm gonna go Shang-Chi. Listen, usually when it comes to cosmic versus street level, I tend to prefer more street level. I mean, although there is a lot of mysticism and all that in in the Shang-Chi universe, I guess it's a lot more street level-ish than Eternals, which is heavily in the cosmic side. And I'm just looking at it also, and plus between the two, I just prefer. I have an affinity more towards like martial arts comics and all that. So
yeah,
right off the bat, I have a bit of a bias, but also just from a marketability standpoint, I'm not just talking domestically, but just internationally. I feel like Shang-Chi will hit with a broader audience. I mean, just as an example, I've been told like internationally, like the Mortal Kombat movies breaking records already. So, and that's an HBO Max, like Warner Brothers own property. So imagine with Kevin Feige and the MCU marketing machine behind Shang-Chi, how that will do. And just like how I don't even know what that is.
That shit froze him in his tracks.
Yeah, I know. No, but like
where the fuck was I going with this point?
Just like how what Chadwick Boseman did to the Black Panther character, I think Simu Liu, who by the way is a Canadian-born actor, so shout out to Canada.
My man has pointed that out 3 times today alone.
Hey man, on Netflix, he's actually on a show called Kim's Convenience. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. He's actually pretty funny.
Well, Hyper, hold on. We've got let's rep the Canadians right now. We've got Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Kamala Khan.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
Right. So
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Marvel.
Yeah. So we got Deadpool. So yeah.
A busted ass Green Lantern.
So Marvel's clearly picking in the right talent pool. Now, I just feel that, like I said, the character Shang-Chi will have a better international appeal, and I just think that he'll probably resonate more with people. Just the story behind him, as opposed to Eternals, I kind of find cosmic characters in general. I'm not saying that they won't hold, water. It's just that I feel that for the general audience, they'd probably prefer something a little bit more, street level. So for that reason, I'm picking Shang-Chi Eternals. I just feel that, it'll just have the broader appeal.
I like it. I'm with Hyper. I'm with Hyper on this one. And I'm going to tell you why. So, number one, personal preference. I've been grabbing Master of Kung Fu books for the last few years. They just appeal to me. I love the Bronze Age. I'm big into martial arts. So, I think this character is going to be amazing in the MCU. Stepping beyond that, right? If we go back to Eternals, this book's been bought and sold more times in the past 2 years than I can, like, it's just, I see this book on every single friggin' auction, right? It was on there for like, maybe not recently. You'll probably start to see it again. Now, having said all that, I think the Eternals movie is going to be a super sleeper. I think it's going to surprise people on how good it is. It's going to set the foundation for a lot of what we see going forward in the MCU. However, you guys kind of all said it, and I think it's the biggest reason why it's not the best play is Eternals 1 probably isn't going to be the biggest book that comes out of this movie, right?
Yeah,
I think the two biggest characters that have the most legs in coming out of the Eternals movie is going to be Cersei, Gemma Chan, and Dane Whitman, Kit Harington. Yeah. They're both signed up for a lot of pictures. I think Dane's up for I think Kit Harington's for like 5 or 6 pictures. So that love connection they're going to have.
4. Yeah, I think I read 4.
Yeah, it's a bunch, so that love connection between them, I think they're going to be, I think Kit Harington could kind of be what, Robert Downey Jr. was to the first 3 phases. I think Dane Whitman, Kit Harington could be that going forward. Maybe not on the full scale, because now there's so many, you're going to have so many characters to deal with, but I think he's going to be integral. So I don't think Eternals 1 becomes, I don't think it's the biggest book after this movie drops. I think it's I think it's either 3 or not even Eternals book, So for that reason, I go with the Shang-Chi, the first appearance of the Special Marvel Edition 15. I think it's hands down, for me personally, my personal collection, I'd rather have it. I got 3 of them. And just from an investor standpoint, obviously right now is not the best time to buy. If we were having this conversation a week ago, I would have said hands down, keep buying Shang-Chi. But right now, obviously that would change a little bit. But yeah, I think going forward, this book just keeps going up. So
yeah, and Hyper and me have actually spoken about this the last 3 weeks, where we said, I think Hyper has made comments about it when referring to Shang-Chi and martial arts stuff, saying, hey, that Shang-Chi first appearance is super undervalued. Go get it before a trailer drops. And surely enough,
it
just blew up. Like me and Face were talking about it before. Matt, you got in our backstage. It's literally gone up almost $800 to $1,000 depending on the grade that you own, which is ridiculous. Because if you would have told me, like Shang-Chi's not my favorite, it's not the biggest character, and I do that compare game where like, okay, am I spending $1,200 on this or am I spending $1,200 on this? Usually Shang-Chi was on the the wrong side of that. So
yeah, I mean, like I picked up this book last summer and I paid like for a raw copy, it was like a VF copy probably. I paid like 300 something Canadian, and that was pretty much around FMV. So I mean,
right, hold on, Hyper, I gotta cut you off. Tony Stark is actually in our chat. This is crazy. this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. My birthday's in June, so this is an early present to me.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
Tony Stank.
He's not getting much work from Marvel, so he has to show up in some other show.
Well, okay, relax. Relax. What's that, Hyper? Your power's going out again? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like I was saying, the last summer, like a 7.5, 8.0 was like around 300, and that was like right around FMB. Now look at I think it's almost doubled probably if I was to guess right now the price. So yeah, and it surprised me it just took this long for the book to kind of gain traction. Man. I actually thought that people would have been hip to this book a while back.
Do you think it's because that suffers from something that we haven't seen before, right? Like we haven't really seen that martial arts in Marvel, right? So I think that maybe some people were a little scared to, make that jump, pull the trigger for those books.
I think it could be a bit of that, and maybe some people had a sour taste from Netflix's Iron Fist TV show, and maybe, yeah, and like you said, I think it has probably more to do with the fact that the martial arts genre hasn't been tapped into by Marvel, so it's like uncharted waters. Yeah. And also Shang-Chi, if you look at most YouTubers, like casual people, like if you look at those reaction videos, 9 times out of 10, they'll start the video by saying, I don't know anything about this guy, but let me just watch the trailer. You don't really hear a lot of people know too much about the character Shang-Chi.
I will say this. If you are a true Shang-Chi fan, shout outs to you because, 9.5 out of 10, I don't think I've crossed anybody who's a Shang-Chi fan. I haven't. I know they're out there, but I I haven't, I personally, I'll say this right now. I don't know anything about Shang-Chi. Zero. Nothing. So.
The nice thing about both of these books is you can't go wrong owning either one of them.
No.
Very true.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see from Shang-Chi and the prices is going to, translate to Eternals. But again, like Matt said, right? Like some of the characters that you really want from that Eternals group, is I think Eternals 3, Avengers 48. Some people will say Avengers 47. Depends on how you want to go with it. I always go on what the character becomes. So for me, it's always, Avengers 48. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting. Again, that book is going to be, it's going to have a price point too. I think you want to buy Eternals now, just look at what Shang-Chi did. My sources tell me that Eternals trailer could come anywhere between July and September. So just be on the lookout for that. This one, because the panel went 2-2, I'm going to have to go back and take a look at the votes. I think I was counting, I think it was 18 to 16 for Eternals. So I'll have to go back.
I think Eternal had it.
Yeah, so I think this one will I'll have to redo, and we won't know until we do the fourth bracket. All right, guys. So round 8. This one I think is probably the closest we could get.
Man.
So we got first appearance of Transformers, price range $9.4, $500 Canadian, going up against G.I. Joe. You guys already know. I didn't mean to rhyme there. It just happened. With a price tag $9.4 for $425. That's probably as close as we're going to get to same grade, roughly same price. I guess this one goes to what you think is going to be what I guess, what you like and what you think there's going to be more of an investment in. I'll tell you guys right now, we've had, it seems like 10 Transformers movies. I know that that's not accurate. We've had 3 G.I. Joe movies. Hasbro, I've been talking about it. Hasbro has been doing a lot with investing their money in both of these properties in the billions. I think G.I. Joe's, for me, is going to be the winner here. I just think that they are I love Transformers, but I just think that G.I. Joe's is probably going to edge it out at the end of the day. You can see, I was an early G.I. Joe old school comic collector. I was getting those keys when nobody was talking about them. You see, like they're doing Lady Jane. That one's blowing up like crazy. That's just going to follow. So, yeah, for me, I'm leaning towards G.I. Joe.
Well, I love both these franchises, and putting against each other is an asshole move, in my opinion. But whatever.
I love it.
So actually, for me, this one's really easy too, because and I got to go with Transformers, just based on the broader market appeal. Well, the thing is, G.I. Joe. I mean, I love G.I. Joe and everything like that, but outside of North America, essentially, I'm not sure that G.I. Joe appeals to, target audiences globally as much as Transformers does. So, like Transformers, yeah, there might be an interest in watching a G.I. Joe movie or whatever in Europe or China or whatever, but I think that it's probably going to be more exciting to see even another Transformers movie rather than a G.I. Joe movie, because G.I. Joe's a real American hero, bro. So, yeah, that's just what it comes down to. It's the American hero aspect. Now they are starting to package and market G.I. Joe more as like a global type of force, but the thing is, it's still not recognized as that so much. So yeah, it just comes down to Transformers appealing to more people globally. So, and Ultramax in chat can't pick against Transformers.
Yeah, it'd be funny if Ultra Maximus picked G.I. Joe.
Right?
Yeah, right?
Listen, between these two books, I don't exactly have a hill that I'm going to die on for either of them. I kind of like them both like just from a nostalgic point of view. So it's almost like a coin flip for me. This is just going to be more so on personal preference. I'm going to go with G.I. Joe just because I did follow the TV show when I was a kid, and I believe I had more of the action figures of Joe than it did of Transformers. So
They were cheap. They were cheaper.
Hey, listen, man's got to have a budget. So, listen, don't expect an in-depth analysis from me for these two properties because I was very much a casual viewer at best. So I'm going to just pick G.I. Joe.
So 2-1. So Matt, if you don't make,
God,
I'm going to tell you right now, the chat is basically all Transformers. So unless you go G.I. Joe, there is no way G.I. Joe is making it out of this round right now.
This is tough. I gotta go with my cousin Guy Forge. He was like, I'm not voting. I mean, this is tough. I mean, God, I was a huge fan of both of these. The movies that have been out so far, Transformers obviously had the upper. Yeah, do the right thing. Transformers had the upper hand. I feel like the G.I. Joe movies that will come out in the future are going to be like, I am psyched for the Snake Eyes movie.
Yeah,
you know, big time. That's my guy right there. But I'm going to go Transformers. Because the personal preference is so close, I'm going to go with the investment and the worldwide audience. If they do another Transformers movie correctly, like they did the first one, I think in today's market, this book can just go absolutely ape shit beyond what it is right now. So I'll do the right thing. I'll make it easy for you. We'll go Transformers.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because I would think that like from like just the investment side, you know, G.I. Joe, right? 100%. But like Ultra said, you know, like bring on Beast Wars. I grew up, you know, when I came to Canada and I could learn Spanish or English rather. Beast Wars was on, you know, Reboot, Spider-Man, X-Men. Those are the shows I grew up on. That Beast Wars is to me iconic. You know, when I think of my childhood, you know, it's something that I watch. But yeah, I lean more towards G.I. Joe, simply from an investment side. But yeah, you know, you can't go wrong with this one. This one was super close. With us on the panel going 2-2, the chat has said it is Transformers. So Transformers beats out G.I. Joe.
Definitive. I like it.
Yeah, it was actually pretty close. It was closer than you think. But yeah, I mean, Hasbro to Hasbro, both of these properties are going to be something bigger in the future. And again, I think both of them have had okay movies, and both of them have had terrible movies. But in the future, I expect more. It's just going to depend on what they do, where the money goes, what cast members and things like that. So. I'm going to go watch both of them in theaters and things like that. So, yeah, hey, good fight. But Transformers, it takes it.
There you go.
It's tough, man. Wow. I personally, I thought G.I. Joe was going to take this. I really did.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro, it's the American thing. That's the hang up there with G.I. Joe. Like if it, again, if Hasbro does package it right and they turn it into more of like a global type of thing, that would probably be the marketing initiative to push for G.I. Joe.
Or if they would have called it like the real Canadian hero, maybe it would have sold more. I don't know.
Yeah, they wouldn't be fighting. They'd be like, no, you can put this land. Do you want some blanket?
Yeah.
Or like you see thank you and sorry in like every panel. Like, hey, go get me that beer. Oh, sorry. Okay, I will. You know, so.
And he's from Canada, by the way.
There probably is a G.I. Joe character that's Canadian Mountie or some shit like that.
Yeah. Guys saying, I'm neither happy nor sad right now.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. When I made this, I thought this one was going to be super tough. Yeah, I really did.
Both good franchises.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're nearing the end. So we got round number 9. And again, if you're keeping score, Transformers just took out G.I. Joe. The panel tied 2-2. The chat's vote when we tie is coming into effect. So Transformers has won. So it's very important you guys bring your votes in. All right, so round number 9. I don't think this one is as close. This one was more of a from a price standpoint and similar, I guess. But we got first appearance of Captain America and Bucky Barnes, price tag CGC 7.0, old school gold age, but we got 186 grand. Okay, that is a lot of money. Going up against first appearance of Wonder Woman and her origin, price tag CGC 6.5, 92,000 Canadian. These prices are Canadian. I think this doesn't do it justice because of the fact that, the show's going, Falcon Winter Soldier. So Captain America, even though he's not in the show, it's kind of there. There are a lot of DC fans, you're taking two characters from like that war era. Price point comes into consideration too. For me, sole preference, and I talked about this when they actually released kind of like a homage to this cover like a few weeks ago on New Comic Book Day. But Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, is one of my favorite characters. For me, this is an easy investment, personal preference, everything. You can put it all in one bag. It's going to Captain America 100%.
Yeah, so regardless of all that bullshit that I just talked about, the American attachment to the G.I. Joe franchise, yeah, I gotta agree. This is pretty easy for me and in leaning towards Cap. Just because, I mean, Marvel tends to work better right now. You see the price tags that are attached to them. And if nothing else,
but they're serious money. Like regardless which way you go, I mean, you can't. 92,000 for a book. That's
yeah, for sure.
Regardless, man, like you're talking.
Yeah,
about,
for sure. You can't go wrong with either one.
Like a good down payment on a home. So.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's cool about the Captain America one is it has one of those covers that there's like an entire niche market for, in people that just go after those covers where Hitler's getting his ass beat or whatever. So
Transformers not a good investment, bro. Movie comics, but when you say that, you're making it seem like Transformers not good. No, I absolutely think Transformers is a good investment. 100%. Like I said, it's a close battle, but Transformers took it. You just kind of saw the investment stuff, like perfect example, Lady Jane.
Yeah, I think you're meaning across the franchise and like that there's more issues. I think what he's meaning is there's more issues along the G.I. Joe run that are potentially have a price point that you can get some investment value out of than there is Transformers, which like there are a lot of Transformers too.
Yeah, I bought my first Lady Jane 9.8 for $100, and then during the process of it being shipped, they announced the show and it jumped to like $580, right? So I think with the G.I. Joe stuff, you're going to see a lot of more jumps rather than those Transformer ones. That's all.
But yeah, as far as these two issues, and I mean, yeah, like Captain America, like, he does have that American attachment, but he's a different thing altogether than G.I. Joe. Captain America is not really I wouldn't even say he's an American hero at this point. He's more of a global hero. He's the leader of the Avengers, which, respond globally to everything. I mean, he's got that name, but even in the portrayals that they've given him, they've sort of, I wouldn't say, maybe not distance, being the word that I want to use, but I can't really think anything better. They've kind of distanced him from the whole kind of like patriotic thing and everything like that, as far as, he's had some issues with the government and everything like that. And I mean, that makes sense for his character and the evolution that we've seen over time for Captain America. So he's become more of a global force. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like both of these characters have their stay in pop culture. I mean, Captain America is like, the embodiment of Americana, I guess you could say, and Wonder Woman, I mean, I would say is probably at the top tier in terms of female comic leads. I mean, I'm not sure if there's anyone that can actually top her, to be honest, in terms of all-time list. right off the bat, I like the cover of Captain America one a lot more. I mean, you have him, whooping Hitler's ass right there on the cover, so that's always a definite plus. And I mean, again, I'm going back to the whole Marvel machine behind Captain America and just the Avengers in general. The main three, Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America. Marvel did a great job of making those characters a lot more of a household name if they weren't already before. And I'm not talking about like with us comic guys because we know these characters, but just with the casual audience, I just find that Captain America resonates a lot more, and the movies definitely helped his status quite a bit. I mean, the Wonder Woman movies helped as well, but I just find that there's a lot more backing behind Captain America, and and also with the current storyline with Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though the character Chris Evans is not, currently playing Captain America, his lineage and his storyline will continue to carry on. So I just feel that Captain America is the way to go between the two. Both are great books, but I'm going with Captain America.
Whew. Damn.
Yeah, this is like dream books right here. That's what we're going with. So, again, Marvel, DC. So this is going to just come down to a personal preference. Either one of these would be great to have. Captain America, I'm going all the way. Would much rather have that book in my collection. If I'm looking at the actor and actress that are playing them right now, Gal Gadot's got my vote. She's an absolute rocket ship. So if you want to bring that into play, maybe it makes it a little closer for me. But I'll go with America's ass on this one. Steve Rogers, I'll take that all day. I'll take that Cap one.
It's crazy because when you look at from the outside, right? Like Hyper always talks about it, like the non-comic collector. Like if I just talk to some random person outside and said something like, the future and what's more relevant right now is Wonder Woman. She had a movie, right? Like Falcon and Winter Soldier wouldn't resonate with somebody who doesn't know that that's actually, it has a tie-in with Captain America. As much as we don't want to say it, it does. They talk about the Shield, they talk about Steve. There's rumors that he's going to show up, blah, 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 blah. So, a lot of people would say Wonder Woman. I'm kind of surprised. The whole chat was just Cap. More iconic, I guess. But again, you're battling with Marvel versus DC. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I won't lie to you guys. I thought taking these two kind of from the same time period, same, fighting wars and things like that, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. But yeah, it looks like Cap takes it out. I think, me personally, Gail is a rocket, like Matt said. I always said, like, if I was fighting against her and she came, I would just drop my gun. I'd be like, okay, you got me.
Do it, yeah.
Anybody fighting in that uniform, hey, I'm game over, right? When you think of markability, though, when you think about that, and you guys always hear me talk about that, women, it's like Poison Ivy, or rather Harley Quinn. You see little girl, and I'm not trying to get sick here, don't think like that. Let's be civil, but you have little girls dress up like that. You've got girls in preschool, you've got girls in middle school, you've got grown women, you've got teenage girls, you've got stripper, whatever the case may be. It's just iconic in that sense, the markability of it. Girls still dress up as Wonder Woman. So, I mean, we're not giving any disrespect, but yeah, Cap takes this one. This one seems like it's easy. But again, Wonder Woman has more of a future than Captain America. So just keep that in mind.
That Cap was hard to beat too, though.
Yeah, but I could see from an investment side that Wonder Woman first appearance go up. It is a hard book to sell, though. Well, both, right? I mean, like, unless you have real money, you're not buying this book every other Saturday, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like let's face it, you're at that point, you're buying houses every day, right? So, well, gentlemen, round number 10, and again, I will say this: they're two big books. It's probably going to come down to personal preference. It is DC versus Marvel, but they are big books. I wouldn't, I'd love either one of these books. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. So let's get to it. Round number 10, finishing off bracket number 3.
Oh God.
Wow. Wow.
We've got first appearance of Hulk, CGC first appearance, or rather CGC 9.2, $330,000 sold. That is sold. That is not selling. That is sold. Going up against first appearance of Hal Jordan, price tag in his 9.2 CGC, selling for $102,000. So again, you're not buying these books every other weekend. You're not. If you find these in the wild, man, kudos to you. Like you just hit the jackpot. This one's a little tough, and I think a lot of people are going to get confused with my answer, but I'm probably leaning towards Green Lantern, and that might shock a lot of people. I'm going Green Lantern all day. I think from an investment side, it's got more upside. I really think that Hulk is kind of going near the end. I'm not really a fan of the whole Professor Hulk stuff. Is the Green Lantern cover the greatest cover? No, it's not. It's a terrible one. But I am a fan of Hal Jordan. I am a fan of Green Lantern. I think from an investment side, that book is only going to go up even higher. You're going up against 10 cent to 12 cent as well. But I think the thing that hurts this is DC versus Marvel, so I get it. A lot of people might go Hulk. My vote, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Hyper, can you go ahead and go before me real quick? I'll be right back.
All right. And listen, to Newbie's point, if you find these in the wild, it's probably a facsimile. Now, between these two, it's actually an easier decision for me than I thought. Just because I'm gonna go on personal bias on the character that I prefer more, and just the cover also. It's gotta be Incredible Hulk. I mean, I'll be straight up. Like right off the bat with the Justice League lineup, aside from Batman and maybe, shoot, I think that's pretty much it. Aside from Batman, I don't really have much of an affinity towards the other Justice League members. Maybe Wonder Woman actually. Yeah, we'll put Wonder Woman in there also. Listen, and I always go back to just, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just broad appeal. And you look at it in terms of like the kids and like the toy line and all that, like those Hulk fists and like just Hulk in general just catches on with a bigger audience. And he's just had a better track record in terms of movies. Even look, I also like the Edward Norton movie back in Universal Studios. Eric Bana not so much, but I just prefer Hulk in general, just in terms of the movies. And we know that we're getting a She-Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo is supposed to be coming back, so there's a future in that. I know HBO has a Green Lantern show in the works, but my confidence with DC in general is a bit shaken. I mean, it's kind of boosted up with the whole Snyder Cut, but if I were to put my chips on one character, it would be Incredible Hulk. So for all those reasons.
I just want to say, hold on. I just want to say, right now, okay? Right now, yeah. Because I see some of the comments that are being said, and they're like, hey, Newbie, how much have you drank? Newbie, are you drunk? I've had 2 drinks. I'm good. Right now, though, like I just think that give it a chance. Just wait. I'm not the biggest DC guy, but I think that what happens with Green Lantern might change a few people. Again, when we're looking at movies and stuff like that, like, and I see some of them with like Adamas Cho and things like that. Like we're not talking about that. We're talking like strictly Bruce Banner going up against Hal Jordan. I think Hal Jordan and Green Lanterns, that price point might come a little bit. I get it, how iconic Hulk is in that book. It's a cover that's been swiped a few times and homage, but I don't know. I personally don't think you can go wrong with either or. I'm just saying I'd probably go after that Showcase 22.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one of these books for sure. I mean, owning either one of them would be, any collector's dream, really. it's a tough choice because I like both characters. Personally, I'm leaning towards Hulk because for one, I like the cover better. And the only thing that scares me about Green Lantern is like I feel like whenever they do the show, they'll probably end up, they've been done pretty decently with their TV shows. There's just a lot of possibility in Green Lantern that Hal Jordan actually might not play as big of a role in it as some of the other Lanterns. So I'm not sure what direction they're going to go with that TV show, and given that it's DC, it's always fucking questionable with them what they're going to do. So, oh man, yeah, it's a tough call, but I'm going to go with Hulk on this one.
Okay.
Newbie's getting beat up, man.
Hey, that's good. That's good. Hey, I got 5 sisters. I got.
Hey, it was me the first half of the show.
Yeah. Newbie's getting beat up. I see some comments in the chat about who's picking Grails based on movies. So I don't think it's as much as and I don't want to speak for Newbie, but I'm gonna. It's not as much about picking books based on movies, but if you're an investor, and that's one half of what we're talking about, you have to look at the movies, or else you're not an investor. So that's just the way it goes. You may not like it, but that's what drives some of these prices. Right now, that's what's driving prices.
Yep.
There's no simple way to say it. Now, if we were doing a show that was completely, just like you found these 2 books and in a collection, which would you rather have, and you don't have to pay for them, that's a completely different conversation. But clearly, we have to take all things in consideration. So let's put that to bed right now. Yes, collect the hobby, purism, I get it. But you can't just ignore that the movies drive these book prices up. Now, these 2 books, we're in a different stratosphere, right? You're talking super grails. So from Newbie's standpoint, I know where he's going. Let's just say if you took a 0 off of both these books, those are still 2 tremendously expensive books. But the Green Lantern book from 10,000, right, probably does get a spike if they do this, if they do Green Lantern finally right on the silver screen or in a series or whatever, right? So I understand what Newbie was going for there, because there is a little bit more potential for that book, even though Hulk 1 will just continue to go up year after year. Yeah. I don't think I don't know if you'll ever get a spike again in it, right? I mean, what would ever cause a spike in it where, a Green Lantern show or a really good Green Lantern movie could, see, this is a defect, a unicorn. He knows what we're talking about with the unicorn. We just dropped that on our video today, new comic book day. That was Jay's pick.
Lawrence, man, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. But, so I get where you're going with that. You could definitely see a spike in Showcase 22. Totally get that. And you're probably right? You're probably right about that. Hulk 1 is a book. I'm not a huge Hulk fan, right? But I'm a huge fan of this book. Like, this is a book that I would love to have in my collection one day. I think it's probably like after FF1, this is probably the next book that I would want in my collection, because I think it's such an iconic book. I think it's such a book that it's really hard. Like, once you get above those like 2 O's, it's tough. You don't see a ton of them. It's kind of a I don't want to say it's a ghost, because obviously if you want to find one, you can find it. But to me, it's like a great white buffalo. You know what I mean? It's it's one of those books that I would just love to have it, regardless of price. And I would just love to have this in the collection. It's always, I don't know why, I can't explain it. I've always had a draw to it. Cool cover. I like the different colors on the cover. It's just one of those books. Whenever I see somebody saying they unboxed one or they're buying one, I watch that video. Yeah. I just always do. It's unique. It's not AF-15, which, again, I don't want to say you see them everywhere, but people tend to highlight them more. Let's put it that way, right? Hulk 1, I feel like, doesn't get as much of a due. And again, it goes back to that whole first appearance, first issue, right? Kind of like Cap. Obviously, that's a Golden Age book. But yeah, to me, it's such a great Silver Age book. To me, this was a no-brainer. It's more based on personal preference, but from the same point, if you're going Grail versus Grail, I mean, if both were sitting on the table, I don't think a lot of people would leave the Hulk one down in the same grade, right? So, but yeah, this was fun. These matchups are tough because you can't go, like I think FaceTime said it, you can't go wrong with either one of these bad boys, right? So, but yeah, I would love to have this Hulk one in my collection one day. It'll be a 0.5 or a 1, but you never know. You know, you make the right moves, you never know.
For me, it was just kind of, you know, like I spoke about it, right? Like even the Iron Man one, and Dan knows because I know Dan's in the chat, and you guys know that's my personal grail. But sometimes we have to make those buys or those investments on books that we know are going to do this instead of doing this. And for that reason, that's kind of the same reason why I chose Green Lantern, because I think Green Lantern has more of this than Hulk, where I think Hulk just goes like this. Not to say that they don't match up in price one day, because we don't know, right? Like, what does Green Lantern and what does the DC universe look like 10 years from now? We don't know. But I totally get what Matt's saying. I totally get what the chat's saying. Again, I don't think you can go wrong with either or of these. Like 100%, if you were to take one or the other, I think you'd be okay with either or. I mean, look at the damn prices. Like if you were to get them in those price ranges, I mean, yeah, could you get a bigger house with that Hulk one? Yeah, absolutely. But you could still buy a house with Green Lantern, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's just do a quick recap here. So we got first round, we had Justice League, take out Suicide Squad. We had Batgirl take out Lois Lane, first appearance of Catwoman in Silver Age. We had Luke Cage take out the second greatest or second best Iron character, Iron Fist. Tales to Astonish take out first Swamp Thing. This one I can't remember. Green Lantern one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Green Lantern one. Then we had Ghost Rider take out Vision. We had Shang-Chi take out Eternals. Thanks, Hyper, for joining us for that one. That's when.
Wait, no, actually, that was a tie though. That's the one that I think you said you had to.
Oh yeah, I got.
Yeah, he's got to check that one.
Right.
I think the chat was Transformers heavy, but yeah.
Transformer taking out G.I. Joe. Cap taking it out easy, sweep. And then we had Hulk #1. Man, that was fun. That was the third round. Like last time when we did this, I mean, we had Batman going up against Spider-Man. We had Hulk 181 going up against Giant Size X-Men. We had 180 going up against Fantastic Four, 48, 49, somewhere around there. It's just kind of been fun. Again, as we go through these rounds, the bigger the books, they move on, right? So it's going to be, the conversations are going to get better. And again, it's personal, it's investment, it's whatever you want. As long as you're on the panel, you kind of have a vote. I do want to thank Matt for joining us. I mean, if you guys don't know Pressable Defects by now, you're living under a rock, you're missing out. Please make sure you guys go tune in. They got shows Tuesday, Thursdays. They rock with Jem. They rock with Very Gary, two of the, pillars of the community in comics. When you think comics, you got to think those two. And if it wasn't for Matt, I mean, Newbie probably wouldn't be on StreamYard. So just,
you're modest. You're being modest, brother.
Just keep that in mind. Before I let Matt speak, Face, what do you got coming up? Let us know what's going on with your YouTube, your Instagram, your comic world. Let us know.
Basically same shit as usual, but me, Hyper, and Keys are putting the finishing touches on our show, and we should be ready to go on May 3rd.
Sweet. So May 3rd. And Hyper, don't tell me something other than you only have 2 videos on YouTube. Tell me something new. Let's go.
All right. Well, I guess I won't say that point then, but you all know how many videos I have on YouTube. You can follow me on hyper.combo.comics on IG. And the link to my YouTube channel is there. And yeah, like Face mentioned, we are almost hopefully at the tail end of trying to figure out this new, I guess, spin-off show, you could say, that will probably be launching in May. And I guess what I have coming up soon is this Friday on Tony Sanders' wrestling YouTube channel, I'll be defending my Hunt TV title. Now, I kind of have to let the chat know what the show is about because I invited Jay on in the chat, like the butcher, and 5 minutes into the show, he private messaged me. He's like, "What the fuck am I watching?" So,
Right?
basically, all right. Just to give like a brief clip notes, I have to put up like me defending the title. I have to put up 3 books against my challenger, and the chat votes. And basically, we take on like I guess wrestling personas, and we kind of, it's almost like you kind of have to be in character. So the chat votes on the 3 books, and it's best 2 out of 3. So I guess my appeal to the chat and to anyone watching is, you know, if you want to support your boy and, you know, have him continue holding on to the title, hop on the chat. It's at Friday at 11 p.m. I'll put the link in the chat below so you guys can tune in. And yeah, let's keep the Hyper Championship train going. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so make sure you guys go help him out. Tony's a good guy, good channel, good fun, and obviously support our guy Hyper. You guys already know what's going on with me. Sundays, 9:30, New Comic Book Day, Spec and News. We'll surely be talking about the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Next Tuesday, we've got Dan coming on. We're talking silver and bronze. Dan is an experienced collector. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's going to probably throw in some hints at books that he thinks. Again, he's got, you know, years of experience. So who better to learn from than Dan? So we're going to do that. Followed by Hottest Comics of April. You want to definitely tune into that. But guys, I do want to say a big thank you to 1/3 of the Pressable Defects for joining us. Matt is finally on Newbie's channel. So, man, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's been fun. You know my respect, my affiliation. I rep you guys as much as I can. Great for the community, man. So keep up what you're doing. But if people don't know what you're doing, let us know.
Yeah, brother. First off, Hyper. Good luck, dude. I mean, I know heavy lies the crown, bros. They're all going to be gunning for you now, so you better bring some heat, dude. You better bring some heat.
Okay, but okay, listen. This is just a little bit of I guess, a bit of an underlying secret. Sometimes it's not so much the books you bring, but it's I guess it's the people you bring on board.
Okay, don't give out those secrets, dude.
Just saying. You know.
Yeah, I hear you. So yeah,
well,
this was a lot.
I voted against your ass last time.
Yeah, he did. He actually did. He actually face voted against me being a dick. But anyway, I'll let Matt take the floor.
Well, this was a ton of fun. You know, I appreciate you guys having me on Hyper. Good to share the screen again. Like you said, the last time we were together, I think we got taken down because of the butcher. Face, good to meet you, brother. Newbie, we've chatted back and forth a bunch, so finally good to collab. This was a ton. The chat's been awesome. I've seen a ton of good comments. I know listen, it's all fun. I'm busting balls in the chat, in the comments. Don't worry. I appreciate all those opinions, like Newbie said. A lot of guys that I know, UniX, my boy, of course, my cousin, Guy Forge. But yeah, as far as Pressable Defects, every Tuesday, we just dropped it today at 5. We do the CBSI New Comic Book Day show. So we drop a bunch of information about, you know, the upcoming comic book week. And then Thursdays is always a mixed bag. This Thursdays, we have a nice spec video coming out. Well, it's going to be 6 books. It's a joint. There's a collab with another channel. So you're going to get 6 books on our channel. And at the same time, you're going to get 6 books on another channel. So that's going to be fun. There's a lot of good books. Some of the books, I'm sure you're going to say, oh, yeah, I know that. But I guarantee there's a couple on there that you definitely don't know. And then we go live every other Wednesday. Those shows are a lot of fun. It's a lively chat. It gets a little rowdy in there. So if you're up for a good time, I encourage you to definitely check us out on every other Wednesday. I would say don't watch with your kids. Don't, you know, if you have a significant other, you may want to stay away from them until you know what you're walking into, because you never know who shows up or what kind of super chat video that we play. But no, I'm joking around. I'd love to see you guys in the chat with us because we have a ton of fun. You know, Newbie, Hyper, these guys are always in there supporting us, and trust me, we thank everyone who supports us. You know, from day one to the newest supporter. That does not go unnoticed. It's very humbling. So we appreciate you. Newbie, I wish you all the success. Keep growing, man. You guys keep doing your thing over here. Team Newbie, you guys are breaking news, Guys, if you came over here from Pressable and you're not subbed here, make sure you hit the sub on this guy. You're not going to regret it. I'm telling you.
Man, I appreciate that. And, I know you're being modest, but don't forget, Matt and, they do a great stuff. Like I said, they do stuff with Jem. They do stuff with Gary. They do, they did WandaVision reviews. They do the Falcon Winter Soldier stuff, things like that. They've got a great show. Again, don't watch it with your kids. If you go to church, don't watch it at church. Make sure you are, somewhere where there's no people who might get offended. But it is a fun show. Like I said, Matt, I talk highly about, Gary and some of these guys, but I put you guys up there too. I respect the hell out of you guys. You guys are great guys, fun guys. The one thing that I see from you guys is it's natural. It's fun. It's just guys. Like if I were to meet you guys at a bar, that's how you guys would be. So much, respect. I thank you for
Means
coming.
A lot. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, newbie. Let me also get on this whole Pressable Defects appreciation train. Listen, I've been watching you guys also when I started following different YouTubers and on IG. And listen, even though you guys are like, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, you're close to hitting 2.5K subscribers, 3K?
No, we're at like 36. We're over 3600.
Okay, way to go. Way to make. Yeah.
Thanks for staying up to date with us, Hyper. Real strong supporter.
You meld numbers. Listen, to be fair,
I'm fucking with you.
You meld numbers when you start watching shows. But listen,
Hyper's like, man, I'm waiting for that 2,000 subscriber giveaway.
Yeah, we had that a few months ago. Yeah.
That's what's going on. Sure. No, but like, despite all that, I mean, you, Guy, Jay, you've all been always reachable. Whenever I, DM you guys have always been, you haven't, like, put it this way, you haven't gone Hollywood or anything like that just because you've got the success that you've got. You've always been about the people. That's what I appreciate. And if you guys, to the chat, if you kind of look past all the debauchery and all that in the show, there's actually a lot of good content on the Pressable Defects. So
there is, yeah. It's not just about that.
Yeah, that's just their personality coming out. And look, who wants a show where you're just doing info and that's it? I like the fact that you guys all have your own personalities, that it all meshes well. And yeah, you've got a follower for life.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, dude. Listen, it's not, who would have thought you would have a porn star in comics? Well, you got that last week if you watched our show. So yeah, we had a porn star on. So if you want to go watch that, that video's doing pretty well, to say the least. She was very knowledgeable though. She knew a lot about comics, I'm not gonna lie. So
you guys got a ton of super chats, by the way. I think just because she was reading them, I think that was a selling point.
But
right?
that actually wasn't our highest. That wasn't our number one, but that was a good show. She was a great sport. I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah. We had Eva Long on. For those of you that don't watch us, we had adult film star Eva Long on with us. She's a big comic fan, especially of Joker, and she likes the DC. She's a big DC fan. So Guy Ford, sorry, I missed one thing. Guy Ford yelled at me. We're going to be in New Hampshire this weekend. We're going to be at Little Giant Comic Show. So if you guys are going, come up to us, say hello. Like Hyper said, we love talking to everybody. So come up to us, say what's up, tell us your name, tell us who you are on YouTube so we can kind of put a name to the face. And just, we're hanging. We're covering the show for CBSI. We're going to be doing interviews during the setup on Friday. And then we're going to be doing a live show on Saturday. So we're just going to be hanging out. Come up, hang out with us, grab some stickers. We're bringing stickers. That's it, man. Come say hi. I can't wait to do this show because we're going to meet so many of our subscribers. So it's going to be a blast. That's what I'm looking most forward to. So
yeah, and I'm jealous of that because here in Canada, our borders are blocked, so we can't really go anywhere. So I get a ton of messages like, hey, when you come in here? When you come in here? As soon as the borders open up, I promise you, I will be there.
And I put the channel. Your link in the channel.
Yeah, and I pinned Pressable Defect.
Appreciate that.
Throughout the chat. So yeah, guys, make sure you guys go tune in. Before we leave, don't forget, we newbie here, 50 subs away from 2,000. We've got a ton of giveaways going on. We got eBay cards, new Cadia. Our boy Dan, who's on Tuesday, is giving away an 8.5 first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. We got a Source Tiger giving out some stuff. Did I say eBay cards? Yeah. So there's a ton of things going on. Ton of things for everybody, DC, Marvel, all that jazz. So, make sure you guys are tuning in for that. We're getting close to that. Again, one last hurrah to the chat. And finally, our big guest, Matt Forge. Again, brother, thank you so much. Appreciate you
Had a blast.
Yeah, man. So that's it, guys. Grail for Grail. 4 weeks from now, we'll do the final round, and then we get into the big hitters. So tune in for that.
Don't forget your catchphrase, man.
Keep searching for them books because they're out there.
Oh gosh.
Peace.